money, you will need to pay 1,60,000 rupees to be able to buy this scooter. But honestly, you need something far more invaluable to be able to own this. And that is patience. Lots and lots of patience. This coming together of Italian design and Chinese manufacturing will pleasantly surprise you, but it will require you to have the patience of a saint. And over the course of the next few minutes, I will try and explain why. My name is Amaan Ahmed and you are watching Carandbike. In case you haven't done it already, make sure you subscribe to the Carandbike channel because we tell you the automotive stories that deserve to be told the way they deserve to be told. Before we begin, I think it's rather important that you know the origins of the VLF Mobster. Now, we know it as an Italian scooter, but the truth is it is only Italian in design because it was designed by Alessandro Tartarini. The scooter is manufactured by a Chinese company named Taizhou Civeluo Vehicle Company Limited or Taizhou Velocifero. It's headquartered in China, and I know what you're thinking at this point. Since it is a Chinese scooter, it may be loaded, but can it really be thrilling? Let me tell you, you would be pleasantly surprised. On paper, this is the most powerful 125cc scooter in India, but does it feel like the most powerful 125? Let's find out. Whoa! It's got a kick to it. It hits 80 kilometers an hour in no time whatsoever. This engine has a great pull in its mid-range, and that is where you will extract maximum performance. Let's try that one more time. From 25 kilometers an hour onwards, it pulls so hard. The engine feels at its happiest between 40 and 80. That is where you will find most of the scooter's performance. The performance of this scooter is genuinely addictive. This engine has so much power in the mid-range and you can execute overtakes with such ease. It hits 9,000 RPM. And even though I don't have an open enough stretch right now to be able to cross 100 kilometers an hour, I have touched an indicated top speed of 108 kilometers per hour, which should give you a sense that its real top speed is around 100 kilometers an hour. It gets to that speed without any fuss and it feels reasonably stable even at those speeds. Even in terms of handling, it feels confident, sure-footed. There's good grip from the Kenda all-terrain tires. But that being said, there is a hint of understeer, especially at high speeds. Let's try and put the brakes to the test. Doing about 75. The brakes pulse hard. You can feel the ABS system kick in. And you're grateful to have ABS on this scooter because it is genuinely quick. You can get up to highway speeds in no time at all. And the presence of ABS along with traction control is certainly welcome on a scooter with such explosive performance. But one thing that I must add is that this scooter, even at city speeds, holds pretty high revs. You can see right now I am barely doing around 45 kilometers an hour. And it is still at 6,000 RPMs. And what that does is, because this engine is loud, it makes it feel like the engine is stressed, even at these speeds. And these are speeds you're doing regularly in the city, dealing with traffic. Beyond a point, it does get somewhat tiring to listen to the engine constantly at such high revs. And of course, it isn't great for fuel efficiency either. In the city, I've seen the figure plummet to the high 20s. Unfortunately, the suspension just doesn't keep up with the engine and the chassis. The telescopic fork and the rear shock absorbers are like two friends who quarreled and fought in their school days and have been forced to work together on a project, but neither actually knows what the other is up to. The front is really stiff, and when I say this has a communicative front end, what I mean is while there is a good amount of feedback that you get through the handlebar, you don't just get feedback from the road, you get a detailed report of each and every single road in your locality. You're able to feel every single crack, every single bump in the surface, and that over a period of time gets really rather uncomfortable because your hands, your wrists and your elbows are constantly taking a beating, and the scooter just doesn't want to steer when it's going fast. So when you tip it into a corner, there is notable understeer, and that really bitters the experience. Just like the rest of the scooter, the seat too is pretty compact, and at the same time it is unwelcoming. You see, at 797mm, seat height is a little high for a 125cc scooter. And when you get on it, you will see that for me, I'm 5 feet 6 and I'm only able to place the ball of my feet comfortably on the floor. But more than that, the issue is that this seat is actually sloping downwards. In a bid to make it a little more accommodating for shorter riders, VLF has tried to lower the seat. But in doing so, the seat basically tapers off towards the front. And what that ends up resulting in is whenever you brake hard, you're thrown forwards in your seat, you slide down in the seat, and you have to keep pushing yourself back up into the seat every time that happens. Unfortunately, the seat is also stepped, and in the center portion, the cushion is actually pretty firm. So that pushes into your tailbone and makes for a rather uncomfortable experience on the go. So you will need to be patient with the seating of this scooter. And then comes space for the pillion. With a full-sized adult riding the scooter, there's barely any space left for the pillion, and while there is a chunky grab handle, sitting at the back is a rather uncomfortable experience. I did try it out briefly, and what makes it worse are the foot pegs for the pillion, which are incredibly small and thin, so you will never be able to place your feet comfortably on them. There's also the matter of clearance. You see, when you have a pillion with you, the tail really squats down, and what that means is that the exhaust piping is really close to the road, and when you're going over bumpy patches, undulations, it does tend to hit the ground. Now I know practicality isn't supposed to be a priority for a sporty 125cc scooter, but the Mobster 135 feels like it is deliberately impractical. It has a storage compartment at the front, but as you can see, this is rather small. It's quite shallow. So even if I try to place my phone in here, it won't accept it. There is no way I can fit my phone in here. The other problem is because of the thickness of the hinge, there is a huge cutout on the inside, which presents a large enough gap for smaller items to fall through. So if you were to keep any money here, maybe a pen or any other small item, then the moment you open this lid, there is a chance it might just fall through the floor and fall onto the ground. And while the scooter does have a USB Type-A phone charging port, honestly, the cover for this feels rather flimsy, as does the cover for this storage compartment. There is a bag hook, which does give you some level of flexibility, but the floor is raised in the center, and that means that you will not be able to place any large items over here without them tipping to one side or potentially falling out. What makes it further impractical is the fact that the underseat storage is really limited for this day and age, and even the floor of the underseat storage space isn't flat, so you won't really be able to place any large item over here. In fact, I don't think this will even accommodate a half-face helmet comfortably, forget full face. And the fuel filler lid is still beneath the seat, so every time you have to tank up, you will have to get off the scooter and open the seat, which I feel is a rather unnecessary exercise in this day and age. The 5-inch color TFT actually has a rather nice layout, and you have the rev counter featured prominently on the screen along with the speedometer, and you have a range of other information as well, which is really easy to read because this screen has 5 levels of brightness, and even under harsh sunlight it is perfectly legible. However, when you want to change any settings, when you want to disable traction control or look at any of the other settings of the scooter, you have to access the menu using the buttons on the display. And honestly, the way that menu looks, it feels so dated. It feels like it belongs on a computer from the 90s. I feel Velocifero could have and should have put in a little more effort to improve the UX on this scooter. And even browsing through the menu takes a lot of button presses, because once you've entered the menu, to be able to exit it, you have to press this button around 7 to 8 times to get to the bottom option, which is exit, and only then can you go back to your regular speedo layout. While the switchgear and the grips feel reasonably well put together, the same can't be said about these mirrors. Not only are they small, but they're also oddly shaped, and what that means is there are massive blind spots when you're riding that can get quite disconcerting, especially at night. And the quality of the mirrors themselves is below par, and I feel Velocifero would do well to replace these mirrors at the earliest. And to talk about some of the other plastics on the scooter feels reasonably well put together, but there are elements on the scooter which feel like they will not age well. Some of these have already developed a few rattles and squeaks, and over a period of time, these may only worsen. Depending on how you feel about attention, the VLF Mobster 135 will test your patience on that front too. Because let's be honest, it does stand out in a crowd, especially in this neon yellow shade. The design is striking for sure, and it draws stares everywhere. Every motorist is curious and wants to know more about this scooter. So if you like talking to people, you will enjoy having this scooter because you will constantly be in the spotlight. But it may also test your patience because people have an unending list of questions to ask about this scooter, because they're super curious, they've never seen it before, and they will keep throwing questions at you until you grow really frustrated. I get it. Purchases like this one are driven more by emotion than by rationality. But even so, even if you choose to accept the compromises that this scooter requires you to make, there are still a couple of things I just can't look past. Number one is the brand that sells this scooter. Motorhouse India is a relative newbie in this space, and it has a rather tiny network at this time, with just a single dealer in each of the cities that it is present in. In fact, it doesn't even have a dealership in Mumbai, which is where we are right now. This scooter has been ridden down from Pune. Eventually, when there is a dealership, there will be a single service center as well. But the availability, or rather the lack of availability of service centers, may be a thorn in the side for Motorhouse India. And also remember that products from brands like these usually entail high wait times for any spare parts that you may require. They may also be more expensive than they would be at a larger manufacturer. And the second, and what I feel is the biggest problem facing the VLF Mobster, is named the Aprilia SR 175. You see, that scooter has the same ethos. It is built for fun. It is not the most practical scooter. It's not the most comfortable either, but it is significantly cheaper than the VLF Mobster. In fact, the on-road price difference would be anywhere between 20 to 25,000 rupees. And ultimately, the Aprilia is a 175cc scooter, while this, gutsy as it may be, is still a 125. And if you were looking for something to truly thrill you, you would still be inclined to go for the SR 175, because at the end of the day, Aprilia, no matter how inconsistent, still has a pretty solid network across the country. So the moral of this story is that don't count out the VLF Mobster just because it's Chinese. Remember that there is potential hidden in there. This scooter has a great engine, it has good brakes, and there is a solid base for Velocifero to build on. So there you have it. That's my take on the VLF Mobster 135. But what do you think of it? What do you think of the appearance? What do you think of the performance? And do you think you'd opt for this over an SR 175? If yes, I'd be interested to know your answers. So remember to leave that in the comments. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it informative, then remember to give us the thumbs up. And if you know somebody who would be interested in knowing more about the Mobster 135, then remember to share this video with them.